I'm Jeff Murrah, and I want to welcome you to True Texas History, where today we are continuing the series on filibusters. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Philip Nolan. You know, in a lot of your Texas history books, Philip Nolan is often identified as one of the first filibusters that you come across. But I wanted to go ahead and go over James Wilkinson yesterday because you have to understand that he was a shady character, and these two intertwined quite extensively. Well, Philip Nolan was a good old Irishman who came over here, and he found himself out in Kentucky in the Wilkinson cantonment. It's almost like it was outside of U.S. territory, and Wilkinson had set up his own camp and fort and had his own militia forces. And Nolan operated as his bookkeeper, and he was familiar with the books in terms of knowing Wilkinson's business and keeping track of his trade deals. And some of those trade deals took him down to New Orleans, and while in New Orleans, he made connections with some of the locals there. And he finally arranged, or it was agreed upon, that he was going to be given a passport into Spanish Texas. And so he made his first trip there in 1791. Philip Nolan actually made several trips to Texas. And on that first trip, he was given a map by the then governor of Louisiana. So he had some rough idea where he was going. Of course, Nolan was a pretty smart guy who was familiar with astronomy and knew enough about map making to go ahead and start filling in the details. And so on his trip, he made it a point of going ahead and filling in areas of the map. On the surface, he was there to collect mustangs for the Spanish forces located there in the Louisiana area. Now, the governor that went ahead and gave him the map was let me make sure I have the name right, Baron de Carondelet. After making a couple of forays into Texas, he went ahead and started a correspondence with President Jefferson about what he was finding. Now, there's some debate as to whether or not in 1799 he had a direct meeting with the president. Some sources say that they met, some sources say that they never met, and it was all correspondence. Any way you slice it, President Jefferson was aware of his activities and was aware of what was going on in Texas. You know, perhaps that's one of the reasons why he was very interested in the Louisiana Purchase. Who knows? But then finally, in 1800, Nolan was going to do a repeat of one of his forays before, and he went into Texas to catch mustangs, he and 20 of his followers, and while in Texas, he decided to go ahead and build a fortification. Now, for a while there, the Spaniards had been a little ill at ease with Philip Nolan because they felt that Nolan was trying to team up with the local Indians, and he was going to overthrow Spanish authorities and take control of the area for himself. Now, bear in mind, around this time, Spain was having some significant problems with France in the form of Napoleon and issues like that at that point. So they were a little on edge. So they went ahead and sent out a force of 150 men to round up Nolan and his force. And they did succeed in doing so. They had a big shootout there. And Nolan was killed in the fighting, and they rounded the others up. And, you know, conditions were pretty harsh, and they, at one point, the command or order was given that every fifth man would be hanged. I mean, they took illegal aliens serious back then, and if you trespassed illegally into that area, you were running risk of death. Now, on the way back to the prison, since so many of the people had died, you know, like 9 of them, they decided instead of doing every fifth man, we are just going to do 1 man. And so they got a drum head and a crystal decanter, and he rolled the dice, and everybody rolled the dice, and the lowest number fell to a fellow by the name of Ephraim Blackburn, and he ended up having to be killed to go ahead and satisfy what was going on. Now, about that time in 1800, the crazy thing is Spain was secretly making plans to return Louisiana to the French. So, I mean, there was a lot of drama going on in international intrigue. You know, a lot of times we get our focus on the Philip Nolan aspect of things, and we forget to look at, you know, Spain versus France versus the United States, because Spain was a world power then, and trying to hold on to its territories. And they saw Philip Nolan as a threat to that. Now, Nolan, in some of the documents where he was trying to get passports and official Spanish approval, he even went so far as to Spanishize the names of his parents so that they sounded more Spanish and he was more believable. But one of the things that Nolan did do, supposedly, was come up with a detailed map of this territory of Texas, because with a detailed map, people could do things. The only problem is, to this day, no one has found Philip Nolan's map. You know, maybe somewhere in some library here in Texas, somebody will come up with it. Who knows? But that will give you the background of Philip Nolan, and there will be more on the filibusters in the coming days. So until then, this is Jeff Murrah wishing you vaya con Dios, my friends. Goodbye.